Hey, welcome to a very unscripted video. A new RetroTINK 4K firmware has dropped, and it is just the solution to so many of my, not really problems, but some quality of life changes that I really would have liked in the RetroTINK system. This new firmware has addressed them, and basically it's perfect for people who enjoy sharp scale, your super sharp pixels, semi-sharp pixels, and don't want to be messing around in the freeform menu. So I'm going to demonstrate this. Let's go into a game. I'm demonstrating this with the Mister because it's just easy to go across several consoles. So I've got this at 1080p output because I never like recording in 4K. So this is currently set to autofill. So we're going to advanced settings. You can see this is firmware 1.23.0. Go to advanced settings and go to scaling. So what I want you to really pay attention to here is these numbers, the vertical factor and the horizontal factor. So currently we've got the scaling mode set to autofill. A mode that I generally use, especially when I'm recording, is autofill integer. So what that does is that takes the vertical scale, multiplies it as high as it can go without it breaching the sides of the screen, essentially. So there's none of your image is going to get cut off. When people wanted to get the most out of the resolution of the screen, especially in the 1080p days when we were first doing retro scaling, we would use a 5x integer scale. So it cut off a tiny little bit off the top and the bottom, but it allowed you to get nice scan lines that didn't look, all uneven and nasty. So if you actually wanted to do that back in the olden days, I mean, we've already set this to 6, but we'll go 5 by 5. Okay, so I'm using freeform here. So if I wanted this kind of aspect ratio, I could just change some of the aspect corrections, settings and whatever, but for some people freeform was easier. So you can see there that the vertical resolution, once it's been multiplied by 5, is 1120, which is a little bit higher than 1080. So you're losing a few pixels, I think 40 pixels if my GCSE maths is still holding up. That's 40 pixels overall. Divide that by 5. That's how many pixels you're actually losing from the gameplay itself. So we now have some new modes because, as you can see here, you're not really making the most of your screen real estate when it's set to autofill integer. If you're recording, or if you just don't like it taking up the full screen, this is fine. First off, we have autofill integer plus. So as you can see here, my aspect correction mode is 4 by 3. So this is going to take the signal and correctly apply aspect correction to make it as it would look on a correctly calibrated CRT back in the day. What autofill integer does is, where autofill integer takes the resolution, as I say, the vertical resolution, multiplies it as high as it can go without cutting anything off. Autofill integer plus will basically round it up 1. So you can see it's got up to 1120, so it's cutting a little bit of the top and the bottom off. But if we jump into the gameplay here, I mean, you can see the score and everything. There's nothing cut off. There's nothing in that game that's going to be an issue for you. Now, this may change depending on the game that you play. Just for example, this is always a very good example of a game that does actually have some information that's cut off by the overscan. But if you see this game on a CRT, the same thing would be cut off, which is the time at the top here. Pick Blaze, because why would you not? Can you see? Scale and crop in. Because the time has been put right at the top there. But anyway, let's go back to Sonic and Knuckles. So, here's where things get interesting. You now have another scaling option, which is Autofill int HV. So what this does, if I change this to 1 by 1 square pixels, 4 by 3, you can see there's no difference here. That's because Sonic & Knuckles is a 320 pixel wide game. I'm sorry if I'm spouting off a whole load of shit here. It's hard to explain when you've got a smooth brain like mine. What Autofill HV does is it actually calculates not only the vertical factor and rounds that to, as far as it can go without cutting the screen off. It also takes the horizontal factor and rounds that as close as it can to the aspect correction settings. So if we go back here, we can see that horizontally when we scale this, it's 3.649. That's as far as it can go based on the vertical factor. So what it does is it'll take the vertical factor and then it will also round up the horizontal factor as well. Can you see? Now it's 4 and 4. And you have the same thing with a plus at the end as well, HV plus. So it does vertical factor, and then it also rounds the horizontal factor to the nearest whole integer value it can, based on the aspect correction. At this point, you can't see a difference between square pixels 1 by 1 and 4 by 3. However, let's load a different game, a 256 pixel wide game, for example. Okay, so here we are in the NES core. Let's go back to our scaling settings. So autofill integer, it's doing the same sort of thing. We're multiplying vertically as high as we can go without cutting anything off. Autofill integer plus is rounding it up one more, so a little bit gets cut off. Now here's where it gets interesting. With the Mega Drive core, changing the aspect correction setting made no difference. However, here we've got 1 by 1, which gives you the square, what was it, like 8 by 7 image that everyone who played an emulator growing up says is accurate to the NES. And then you've got 4 by 3, so this actually rounds horizontally to 5. It's not a perfect aspect ratio, but if you wanted this previously, you would have to use the freeform scaling factor on the RetroTINK. Now you don't need to. And if you then do HV plus, you get 5 by 6, which is even nearer, even closer to 4 by 3. But if we change that, it's to 1 by 1, it's 5 by 5. So this is where it gets really good. So if you like sharp pixels for things like NES and you don't want to play in this aspect ratio and you don't want to piss about with freeform scaling, this is now a perfect solution. That's all I've kind of discovered so far with this new firmware, at least scaling wise, but oh my god, this is so good. It solves so many problems that I had, and they weren't even problems, it was just me being a little bitch. So anyway, I'm going to go and play the best game on the NES. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, take care and goodbye.